On today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, yep, that's what this is going to be about, Kyle. In another month, you're going to get a lot of this. Strap in. This was a fun one. The Avs pull this thing out 4-3 in overtime. Let's talk about it. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. If you want to get in on the conversation, join our Subtext. Link is in the show notes below. Chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. We get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, which we share on this very podcast. We'll get to Subtextia's comments on this game a little bit later. And hey, if you want to join Subtext, we have a bracket challenge going. So if you want, and that's for I think the mayor of Subtextia. If you win that,
a highly bestowed honor, by the way.
Yeah, I guess you get the key to Subtextia if you win. So if you want to join, it's free. We're not charging anybody for it. So just join and get bragging rights. Get bragging rights for being an expert in something other than hockey.
When I grow up, I want to be the mayor of Subtext.
There you go. So yeah, sign up for that, and then you can throw out your thoughts on games like this, because there's a lot of thoughts to be had in this game, Kyle. This was pretty much exactly what you were thinking it was going to be, and it's funny saying that because I thought the Avs played a fantastic game. There's different ways I want to look at this, but I want to get your overall thoughts just off the top, and then we'll kind of break things down. But the Avs had this thing in hand, and 20 seconds changed the dynamic of it, and then you have to go to overtime, and Cale Makar just continued to do otherworldly things in Cale Makar and sends Dallas packing, but they do get the point, and the Avs, you wanted them to win this thing in regulation. That would have been nice, but they get the win, and you feel good about it.
Yeah, and you said this is exactly as you anticipated. God, this was so much more intense than I anticipated. Like, I was expecting, okay, yeah, here comes, we've seen games, the return of insert player name here, and you have your video tribute, whether you like him or hate him, it's whatever. But my God, it's like everyone on Dallas decided to just absolutely loathe and despise the Colorado Avalanche. It felt like playoff level, like Four Nation intensity. Like, it was, until that Drouin goal, I was sitting here with my stomach in my throat. I could have used it as a pillow to go to sleep. It was just so intense, and it felt like everything mattered. Every move, every pass, every shot, every penalty, every kill. You were sitting there and you're like, my God, like, you wanted a little bit of relief. And that I mentioned the Drouin goal, and even like the 20-second implosion, you were right back in it, and you were overtime, and it felt so much different than what I was anticipating. It was a great result. And yeah, you're sitting 2 back of Dallas. You could have been sitting 1 back, but it is what it is. Hey, a win's a win. And we've been saying that a lot, and that's a good thing to say. And hey, this was a Wedgwood affair. And is this what you want to see? Like, it was a good Avalanche game. And when things weren't good, they made it good. And that's what matters.
The thing that I was looking forward to is this was the first game, obviously, between both of these teams post trade deadline. And it's all been well documented, like the changes that the Avalanche have gone through. So the games that kind of came before this, I don't want to say they don't matter, but this is the first game that you've seen of, like, this is what these teams are going to look like in the postseason. So how did that go for the Avs? I thought it went exceptionally well. I thought they were really, save for some puck luck for Dallas of the puck going off of the ref, and then that's how they got their first goal, because then the Avs are scrambling. That happens. I get it. And then 20 seconds of back-to-back goals for Dallas. This was all the Avalanche. Dallas put up a fight in the third, and those 20 seconds are what they are. outside of those 20 seconds, were they the better team in the third? Sure, I will grant you that, in that they had, more shots on net, but they had to. They were the team that was down. They had to force the issue. I thought the Avs played a fantastic games, and the things that went against them, where sure there were turnovers in their own zone, but that's the thing, Kyle. Like, you can look at it a number of ways. You can look at it as like the Avs were in control, and you see the bullet point that I have on YouTube. The Avs were in control for 99% of this game. It was a 20-second time frame and a puck off the ref. But you can also look at it as, we were touting the Avs the other day, and hey, like, this team had to fight and claw for against Calgary, and that shows how good they are. You can say that about Dallas, because they didn't play their best game, and with the Avs kind of being really in command most of this game, they still found a way to get a point. And that's why this series, when it goes to the playoffs, is going to be a dogfight, because nobody is ever out of it, ever. And as well as the Avalanche played, you can't do those things. The ref one, that you can't do anything about that. But the turnovers, Dallas is a good team and will make you pay for it, and they did. So I mean, we were getting down to what, when that happened, there was 6 minutes left in the game, around there. And I was feeling great. Not that I didn't think Dallas couldn't pull something like that off. I just thought we've gotten to this point in the game, and the Avs have just been consistent with how they've been playing and defending and getting really good looks offensively. They were out shooting them 3-1, I think, at one point. And that's all it takes between these two teams, is just the Sammy G one. I think that was a better defensive play than it was Sam Girard screwing up. That was a really good stick on that puck of his pass. But still, it was, you got to be sure of where you're going with the puck. And it just, that's how quickly it can change between these two teams. Great game.
And, I think it goes a little bit deeper. And if you step out one additional level, the last time you played the Dallas Stars, you won 6-3, January 18th. Talk about two different complexions of these teams. That was, Mikko was a member of the Avalanche. And you talk about trade deadline, just how this Avalanche team is constructed with Natchez and Drury, who are new to the Stars. They have not seen them as a member of the Avalanche. Coyle and Nelson and Lindgren. This is a completely different look for the Avalanche. And we talk about this team is built for the playoffs. This game is evidence of that. How good the Avalanche, and they were playing a great game, and they held on when things didn't go their way, and they pushed through and still were victorious. This team is such a different look and different feel. And yes, they messed up and they had things you would love to fix. You can't ever have a perfect game, but they know how to fix those problems. And that comes with the veteran experience with Nelson and Coyle and Lindgren, especially these three new acquisitions for the Avalanche. They know what to do. They know where to be. You have EJ now, and it's just a completely different vibe on how they approach it. You've seen the Avalanche lose games to inferior opponents who were not built like Dallas. Dallas is a good team, and they are scrappy, and they don't mind, getting a little physical, extracurriculars after the whistle. And the Avalanche stood tall. This was a game that Nathan MacKinnon wasn't a factor. He was there, but he wasn't a factor. Cale Makar was. And it's one of those that when you go into the playoffs, if you're in a series type format against this team, you can't really game plan on for who's going to get hot. We just got done talking about Kivi Ranta looking incredible. You can't completely game plan for 4 lines because you don't know who's going to attack night in, night out. And that's what makes this Avalanche team special.
He had the 4th line out there against their top line.
Yep.
Multiple times. That's just confidence in that line of, being able to defend them. And it just shows you, you can put, he did that. He said that about Edmonton. I don't care what pairing I have there against McDavid and his line. I'm confident in all 3 of my pairings, which is a crazy thing to say about Connor McDavid, but hey, go for it. And it's that kind of came around, but for the forwards in this game. He's confident in those guys being out there. And then that just upsets the balance of things, because now you have the McKinnon line out there against another line, most likely the second line, but still that's a net gain for the Avalanche. In some weird way, I'm almost okay with how this game went in Dallas, tying it and then going into overtime, because, and I know the players themselves would not feel this way. I think this is purely from a fan perspective, media perspective, of if this thing just rode out to a 3-1 win for the Avs and those last 5 minutes just went the way of the previous 55 minutes in that game. And because this is the new team, this is the new Avalanche team that has not played against the Stars prior to this game, I think maybe you and I, and people in our world, are going into the postseason maybe feeling a little bit too overconfident. You couldn't, what did Dallas do to you for that game that you were afraid of? And you're not saying that now. You're saying like they can do what they did in 20 seconds and come back. So now I'm going into that series, and it's crazy to say it's a month away, but hey, I'm going into that series feeling confident, but that you still have to play the full 60, not 59, 40,
yeah,
or whatever.
And I got two little things. Also, when it comes to this Avalanche depth, it doesn't matter what goalie they're going to have in there. Like that's depth on a different level, and it's hard to game plan for that. And also, like to your point, I think Avalanche confidence, fans and team, has been so in the negative for so long. Overconfident is a neutral confident. Like this team has not felt. We talked about who is this team for how many months of the year so far? Who is this team? I don't understand what their identity is. I don't know who's going to be hot or not. And now you feel like everything clicks, everything works, and you have an identity. It's okay to have a little bit of confidence because this team hasn't had any up until the trade deadline. So I'll welcome a little bit of confidence, but there are still things that have to be worked on because Dallas did make this a game and force you to overtime. But the rest of the way, the remaining games of this season, you want to keep building on this and have some of that swagger where you were a wild card team that was trying to get out of the first round to where this team could make a run.
Definitely. A lot more to get to with this game. We have our Subtext people as well down the road. And of course, our sound check. I don't know we never know what either the other one is when we do the sound check, but Kyle was grinning with what his sound check is going to be. So all that is still to come. First, we're going to hear from Factor, because eating healthy doesn't have to be complicated. And with Factor, you get chef-made, dietitian-approved meals that are ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, so you can fuel your body without the hassle of cooking. Factor meals arrive fresh, never frozen, and with over 40 options across 8 dietary preferences each week, you can customize your menu to fit your goals, whether that's Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto. What would you go for, Kyle?
Oh, I'm a Protein Plus guy.
You're a meat and potato guy.
Oh, yeah.
All day long. I kind of figured that. But you can also, if you want, you get smoothies from Factor. Breakfast, snacks, you have something always ready to go, and that's incredibly nutritious. So eat smart with Factor and get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast and use the code factorpodcast to get 50% off of your first box plus free shipping. That code again is factorpodcast at factormeals.com/factorpodcast and get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Go do that right now. All right, sir. So more to discuss with this game. Did you hear the Matt Duchene comments after the game?
To everyone listening, I'm literally rolling my eyes like the Undertaker.
I can hear you rolling your eyes right now. I don't like, the refs had a bad game, a really bad game, and it was for both sides. And it does look very one-sided. The Avs had 5 power plays to the 1 of Dallas. But they missed stuff on both ends. And the puck bouncing off the ref is not even included in this. But I thought the one who was the one that had the goalie interference? Was that Drury, or was that who was it? They had, or was it Lehkonen? Maybe I don't have the I should have brought it up, but who I think it was either Lehkonen or Drury. I think, could be wrong on both those guys, but Ottinger just threw himself backwards. And I like Ottinger. I'm not trying to say anything negative about him, but that was an acting job. You had a cross check right to Nathan McKinnon's face that they just let go. You had, and then on the Dallas side, you had Mason Marchment get called for a tripping when he didn't trip the guy. It was Devon Taves who tripped him. And then the Avs had too many men on the ice that they didn't call. So I'm glad this was a regular season game, because I really hope things tighten up in the postseason. But Matt Duchene went on a little bit of a mini rant about that. I don't think he really wanted to say that was the reason for the loss, but he clearly wasn't happy about it. But
wait a minute, wait, you're telling me Matt Duchene was whining about something? Please,
he wants out of Dallas now.
Oh my god, he wants to go to a Stanley Cup contender. No, but see, the thing is, you gotta, and that's what, everybody knows my feelings with Matt Duchene, but you're a vet. You've been playing the game for a while. Bad ref games, they happen. It's just hey, the Avalanche had a bad ice game against Calgary. It's just part of the game. Things don't go your way. You'll have really tight, contested, very little calls, very clean action. And then you'll have just calls not go your way. You got to overcome it. And for Ottinger to try and embellish to make that kind of happen and sway it, you can't let that frustrate you and take you out of your game. It's because refs, if you hit the ref, as we saw with that first goal, they're considered part of the playing surface. It's just how it is. Sorry, guys. Same thing with the calls. That's just part of the playing surface. It's like the wonky boards that they have on the island in Boston. They have the weird boards. They have the weird ricochet. It's just something you have to deal with. And for you to complain about it, no. How about do a little bit more than just 20 seconds in a hockey game, and then it's a little different outcome.
I mean, it's kind of a smart move for the long term of, I'm just going to dangle this out there just so, everybody knows about it. And then, hey, come playoff time, maybe one or two go our way. Maybe enough time has passed when the next time these guys play that it'll be out of sight, out of mind. But not the worst thing in the world. Again, I don't think he was trying to make excuses as to why they lost, but he was unhappy with the reffing. I was unhappy with the reffing. So did it play a role? Both teams got hosed. So
be better.
Whatever. I did quite enjoy that the first two goals for the Avs. The first one came from Martin Nicias on a Jamie Benn double minor. So Nicias scored the first goal, was involved in the Mikko Rantanen trade, and then Valenzuela gets the second goal. And we all know his history with the Dallas Stars. So that was nice. There was a, let me see. Oh, I thought the play Malinsky had, this was the pass to Drouin. Fantastic job all around, including the staff on the bench for the Avs, the equipment staff, because he snapped his stick and ran right over, got another one, and then fed Drouin, who didn't get a lot on that. And there was a little bit of puck luck for the Avs there, but I thought that was a pretty goal and a hardworking goal. And that's what you saw from the Avs most of this game. They were they were putting in the work, and you had to. You knew that this was not going to be a walk in the park. And for most of it, especially in the first, your shots on goal for the first were 13-4 in favor of the Avs. And in the second, 14-6. You held them to 10 shots on goal through 2 full periods. And then Dallas flipped the script a little bit, 12-8 in the third. And then the one shot on goal from Cale Makar in the overtime is the one that won it. We'll get to him in a minute. But I just really liked the Avs game. They were everywhere. They had some offensive possessions. They kept the puck in the offensive zone for a long time. I thought their transitions were really good. They were getting through the neutral zone pretty kind of scot-free a lot of the time. Dallas gave them a lot of open ice, and they worked it the best of their ability. I thought Andre had a really good game to keep them at 3, but this was more of what, like, I think you can see how dangerous the Avalanche can be when they're just clicking. And, for a team that's, with all these new players, when this could have been the game where it just, you get that performance again. Who are they playing next? Who's the next game? They are playing the Maple Leafs in Toronto. That's their next game. Ouch.
Oh, they're garbage.
I was going to say any other team, but maybe not but you played very well against Maple Leafs last game. You just like what this team is built, how this team is built right now.
And see, the thing is, and like after Cale Makar's quiet game that he had against Calgary at like technically home for him, he showed out in this game. And you had Drouin with quiet 2 points. Nathan MacKinnon didn't tally a point till that final overtime. And by the way, Brock Nelson, Cale Makar, and Nathan MacKinnon for a power play shift. Please sign me up. That was like fantasy hockey.
Well, Nelson and MacKinnon almost slammed into each other.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah.
But seeing that roll out and just you're like doing like the beautiful mind calculations of like what could potentially come from this in a like overtime situation. Like you're getting little glimmers of what the specialized versions of like overtime and your penalty kills and power plays, what this team could look like in a deep run. And I think the overtimes, I feel really good, especially when you see the result. Cale Makar stepping up and like Nathan MacKinnon not having to be the workhorse for these games to be manageable and winnable. Like Drouin looked incredible. Malinsky had a much better game.
Yeah,
it's really good. This is what you want to see, like where guys can take a night off and you're not complaining like, oh, I wish Nathan MacKinnon would do this, or I wish Natchez was doing this. What they're doing on the ice and fulfilling their roles, everybody's got their job. And you could see this team like humming along. Like the Avs were pouring it on in the first two periods, and it did not feel like they were straining or desperate. It was just business as usual for this team. And this is all like we are touting this matchup as a playoff preview. You got to feel good about what the playoff preview looks like.
Oh, absolutely. And you go, look through the time on ice for the Avalanche, and it's where it should be. You're not putting Nathan MacKinnon out there for 24, 25 minutes a night. He was still at 22. He's going to be in that range. He's your top dog. He's going to be in that range.
And you had overtime.
Yeah, which didn't go very long, but still, I mean, you get a few more seconds there. But you're not like even shaving 2 to 3 minutes off of his ice time. It's noticeable. It's with the other guys out there doing what they have to do. It's noticeable. You had Marty Necas had 8 shots on goal. I love the fact that if Marty Necas has a opportunity, just the tiniest bit, he is firing that puck on net. And I love that for many reasons. One, it's good things happen when you shoot the puck. The old saying, right? But it also keeps the defense kind of guessing as to say, like, they're not going to force it to Nathan MacKinnon. We're not forcing him the puck. And hey, if Necas has a look, he's going to fire it. But he can also use a lot of tools in his toolbox. We've seen many times with him where he's guilty of maybe throwing one too many passes himself.
Yeah.
And while like there's been opportunities where he should have fired a shot and he passed it, but he has all of this at his disposal now, and you have 2 guys that can do that. We know Nathan MacKinnon likes to pass. We know Nathan MacKinnon likes to shoot. Marty Necas does the same exact thing. That 8 shots on goal in this game, I was loving it. He was just the second if he had a pass coming his way and nobody was on him, he was firing it. Loved it.
And when you have multiple guys having multiple flavors that they can attack you with, it opens it up where you can get a lot of odd man rushes going the other way, because the defense doesn't really know who's the hot hand and what they're going to do. When there's multiple different avenues they can attack you, you've got to play true, honest 60-minute defense, or you're going to get odd man rushes going the other way, which makes the Avalanche even more dangerous.
Yeah. And then, Cale Makar is just otherworldly. Like this is just the umpteenth time we've talked about him, but I think what just makes it all the more special is like this game.
Yeah.
This wasn't just a game number 52. This was a big game against a opponent that's ahead of you, that's when your big dude's got to step up. He was everywhere tonight. Absolutely everywhere. And to take that shot in overtime, I was a little bit surprised because it got a little bit away from him. He tried to cut between a couple defenders, and it kind of just got a little bit, I thought it was a little bit too far, not to collect the puck, but to take a shot. And he took a shot on the far side of Ottinger.
They went opposite side.
Come on, man.
I've watched it 3 times back. I watched it on the Hockeyverse animated look. It's just, I mean, what can you not say that you already said about Cale Makar? But like, this wasn't Anaheim, this wasn't Chicago, this wasn't St. Louis. Like, this was a potential playoff opponent who was looking at ways of taking you down, and you just stepped up to another level and said, I got this.
It's huge. So all right, let's talk about the Mikko factor. How much that played a role. Kyle's rolling it. A lot of eye rolling in this.
It's a Dallas thing. So I have allergies.
We'll do that. We'll do that, and our subtext people, of course, and our sound check. It's going to be a good one. All right, we got wonderful pistachios. If you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, crack into a good source of protein with wonderful pistachios. And they are the highest protein, one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. We checked out the website. And what's the flavor that you're going for, Kyle?
A jalapeno lime.
Man, I think I would like, I think I just can try one of those because I don't know if I can do that in a pistachio, but I'm sure it's probably delicious. Honey roasted it for me all day.
No, jalapeno lime, give me a whole bowl full.
All right. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com right now to learn more. Also brought to you by Monarch Money. If you ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, and of course, buying hockey jerseys, it's easy to lose track. And that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center, and you can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year, the entire year, 50% off at monarchmoney.com. Once again, the code is LOCKEDONNHL for 50% off, half off for an entire year. Go there now. All right, so Mikko Rantanen, I don't want to do this every single time he comes back into Colorado. This is kind of a big deal because it's the first one. And it kind of went the way I thought it was going to go. Like he got the applause at your first stop. They show the tribute video, and he rightfully so got applauded for that, because what they showed was everything he did in an Avalanche uniform. Applaud that all day, every day. And then the game got going. And it is, I mean, you said it's Duchesne 2.0, and every time he touched the puck. I don't think those were mooses every time he touched the puck. Those, you're not going to moo him every time he touches the puck. You're going to boo him. So it'd be interesting to see where this goes after this game. But thoughts?
I get it. Like, and everybody knows how I feel about the situation. And I think it's like bled over to the fans. Like, yes, the tribute was wonderful. Great. It'd bring a tear to a glass eye, whatever. But like, he doesn't do himself any favors. Like, yes, he says, I love it here. I love my time in Colorado, blah, blah, blah. But then he goes right back to talking about contract thing. And it wasn't my family. Like, enough with the TMZ, like extra blurbs. Like, I don't need to talk about your contract that you've already signed, that it's going out for 8 years. I get it. I don't care about what happened in Carolina. I don't care about your new deal. Just play the game. Like, I'm tired of the constant, everywhere he goes is a new blurb and a new sentence that everybody gets to hang on. Like, that's what is, like, the fans are like, dude, we're tired of it. Like, you chose a central playoff, your first round opponent. You chose Dallas. Why? You haven't given us a reason. You just said, hey, it has nothing to do with family. Family will move with you. Whatever. I never wanted to leave. Like, I'm tired of it. Just play the game.
Part of it, though, is like it's media obsession. You know, like they were going to be, microphones were in his face, and they're going to ask the questions over and over. It probably
you just
slows down
say
now.
it's like we're gearing up for the playoffs. Like, take a stance, take control. If you don't like it, just say, hey, me and this team, we're gelling, we're focusing on the playoffs. We'll talk about that at the end of the year. McFarland said it. Why can't you?
Again, because they're, you know, it's just question after question after question. But where it just gets a little bit too much for me is when I'm watching the game. I can tune out if I don't want to hear what Mikko Rantanen has to say before the game, even the day before, you know, and the media's got microphones in his face pressing him for questions. I don't have to watch that. I have to watch a hockey game. And I don't want to hear it every 5 seconds coming from the TNT. That's where I don't want to hear it. Sure, I get it was the biggest story coming into this game, but at points, let the game take over. Let the game be the story and not constantly beating this Mikko Rantanen thing into the ground. I get it, but I think they were just trying to build up something just in case Mikko Rantanen had the overtime, when like they were setting that up the entire game.
He didn't get his first shot till the third period.
Yeah, I mean, he had the assist on the ref play, and then Wedgwood stonewalled him twice in that late third period, way down low. Wedgwood had some fantastic saves against him, but I didn't really think he did a whole lot in this game. And there was even a point on the one power play that Dallas had. They had him on the left side, Kyle. Did you not play against this guy for 10 years when he was with the Avalanche? Why is he over there? So clearly there's things that they need to iron out with Mikko Rantanen, but that to me, I'm like, leave him over there.
He was offside that led to the faceoff for the game-winning goal in overtime.
He was. So, but it, you know, it happened. It's over with. Let me see what his game score on hockey stat cards is not. It's like 1.5. Yeah, like 1.3. So like it's going to take time for him. I'm not looking forward to going up against him for the next 8 years. I can guarantee you that. But for right now in this game, it is what it is. And I again, we're not going to do this every single time he plays against the Avs. And
he's not going to be in Dallas for 8 years.
Well, that's a whole nother story, but I think he could be. All right, so let's get to some Subtext crew here, see what they got to say about this game. And we got Mark, who says, I did not love the first period. Why, Mark? I'm interested. Like, I thought the first period was great. I don't know if those first period pucks had extra rubber in them or if they used some bouncy ball tape on the sticks, but the passes were awful to watch. Second period was an improvement, though the D looked a little slow. Maybe it was just me. The third, wow, I thought that the pinnacle of the game was going to be the Mikko Nisha's face-off, but then Stars dropped 2 while Avs defenders stood back and admired the Stars skating. Clutch Cale sent him home, and his sound check is clutch with electric worry.
Ooh,
I get that. Nice play on words. I don't know, Mark. I think you're being harsh, bro. Like, I don't know. I thought the first period was great. I thought they were in command. I thought the same in the second. And then in the third is where Dallas, you know, had their best period. But
I kind of get with Mark because we're so conditioned to bad Avalanche passing. This was a good, bad Avalanche passing. Like, it still wasn't ideal. They ironed it out, but I don't think it was as bad as Mark was saying. But it still was like head scratching at times.
I mean, there were a couple passes, but that's Dallas being a good team in their own right, obviously. Lisa, this was a great game. They're complete opposite. Disappointed Dallas came away with a point, but a lot to like in this one. Who needs Mikko when we've got Nishas to score? Wedgwood making some amazing saves. Another incredible goal from Makar. Loved the playoff feel. 100%.
Yeah, I agree with everything Lisa said.
Yeah. Joe says Dallas has a huge problem with their defense. Not sure of Hiskinen, he says. Can fix that for them. Love to see. Can't fix that for them. Love to see angry Cale and really wanting Mac to wake up. Sure shot from the Beastie Boys.
Oh man,
because they can't, they won't, and they don't stop when you're 8-1-1 in the last 10. Well said, Joe.
Yeah,
well said.
I was in a Beastie Boys cover band at one point in my life.
Who were you?
I was Ad Rock.
Ad Rock, yeah. Adam says, happy to be wrong with my prediction. Closer than it needed to be, but always happy when the superstars do superstar things. Mostly solid effort today. Wish they hadn't given up the extra point in the standings. Yeah. And again, like I said, you didn't want this thing to go in regulation. But I think it's more longer term. You're thinking of how you played against this team, and you're going to take that into the postseason.
Yeah. It doesn't change too much. No. I get the extra, not wanting to give him that point, but I mean, not much changes.
Right. And finally, Vargar. Cale Makar is a hockey god. Listening to the Mikko presser, I can't remember another player who got traded and signed elsewhere who still said he wanted to stay with his original team. He went to the front office and said he was flexible on money. C-Mac made his choice. Vargar is very down on McFarland for doing this. And
hold on.
Get it? Yeah.
Vargar, my friend, if we didn't do this, you wouldn't have Natchez, you wouldn't have Drury, you wouldn't have Coyle, wouldn't have Nelson, wouldn't have Lindgren. You have to make the tough business decisions. And like EJ said in his presser, even Wayne Gretzky got traded. Like, yes, you lost a good piece, but you got a better team.
Yeah, it's true. Very true. All right. Yeah, if you want to get in on the conversation, join the Subtext. Link is in the show notes. All right, last thing we got to do, and that is our sound check, where we pick a song each. Best describes most recent game. Put the songs up on a playlist over on Spotify, which you can follow along. Just search for LOA Soundcheck. Volume number 4 is what these songs are on. So what do you got for me with this game? Avalanche Stars, 4-3 overtime win.
A good classic band named after the first book of the Bible, Genesis.
Oh,
and we are going
phenomenal band.
The deepest of the deepest cuts here.
Okay.
This is for you, Mikko. Moose to some, boo to everybody else in Ball Arena. The return of the giant hogweed.
Why? Please tell me why.
It's because of his annoyance. Like, again, it's this big. For anybody else, like even like the Duchesne tribute when he came back, it was like remembering that there was. Yeah, he said he wanted to go to Stanley Cup contender, but the Avs at the time couldn't complain with that. So everybody, it was a little bit warmer welcome. This Mikko thing is just annoying, and he is a hogweed. So
is that what a hogweed is? I don't even know what
this is a wacky song. It's like a 7-minute epic about like some medieval things. So just enjoy that.
This is Peter Gabriel fronted.
Yes.
Yeah. So anything weird was Peter Gabriel fronted Genesis, but just the title alone is phenomenal. So is that we're no longer calling Mikko Rantanen Moose, we're calling him Hogweed.
Yeah,
so
it's like,
is that his new nickname?
Everything else, it was like everything you wanted to be. It's like playoffs. It's two great central teams, the matchups all the way down, and then just this Mikko thing is just like the weird, just like outlier, and it's just a little bit more annoying than storyline.
Hogweed. It's the Hogweed.
Hogweed.
I love it. For this game, it's big game. I got to go with my boy, and it's Mr. Chris Cornell. We're gonna go Soundgarden with this one, and it's Outshined.
Ooh,
gotta go with Outshined, and like the idea behind the song is, the classic line, "I'm looking California but feeling Minnesota," and so that's why I wrote the song. Was like, there's times where like I feel like I'm a rock star, and then there's always somebody there to bring me down and pull me back down to earth and make
naturally
me feel,
Minnesota.
Yes, exactly, and make me feel like bad about myself. But in the end, I overcome that and I outshine all it. And that's what happened in this game. Like, you were feeling good and Dallas was there to pull you back down to earth. And in the end, you came out on top and you outshined them. So there you go.
Outshine the stars.
There you go. Exactly. Well said. Okay, take a deep breath. That one is that's in the books. Great game. So we'll be back tomorrow. We are definitely going to have some morning leftovers when this bad boy is over. So tune into that one tomorrow. But for this one, thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Selly. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. And even though we like this team, you are still 24 hours closer. Sidney Crosby being in Avalanche colors.
No.